In the spring of 1999, a French-Lebanese executive stepped off a plane in Tokyo, and into the eye of a storm. Nissan Motor Corporation, once a shining symbol of Japanese innovation, was crumbling. Billions in debt, dozens of uninspired car models, factories running at half capacity. Japan's economic miracle had slowed to a crawl, and now, one of its automotive giants was betting everything on a man who didn't speak Japanese, didn't bow to tradition, and didn't believe in excuses. Carlos Ghosn had arrived. To understand what Ghosn was walking into, we have to rewind the tape. Nissan in the late 1990s was more than just underperforming, it was suffocating. The company was buried under more than $22 billion in debt. Its domestic market share had plummeted. Its designs were seen as outdated. Its manufacturing bloated. Over 40% of its factories were operating below 70% capacity. But what was worse was the culture. Japanese corporate life thrived on consensus, seniority, and lifetime employment. Managers avoided confrontation. Change was taboo, and Nissan was stuck in neutral. Enter Renault. In a historic move, the French automaker bought a 36.8% stake in Nissan for $5.4 billion. But money wasn't enough. Renault needed a leader, someone who could cut, build, and inspire, all at once. They sent their sharpest blade, Carlos Ghosn. Born in Brazil, raised in Lebanon, and educated in France, Ghosn was no stranger to reinvention. At Michelin, he had turned around operations in North America. At Renault, he was known as Le Cost Killer, a man who got results, even when it hurt. But Japan was different. He wasn't just an outsider, he was the outsider. From the moment he arrived, Japanese media questioned his qualifications. Nissan insiders whispered doubts behind closed doors. Could a foreigner, especially one so blunt, understand Japan's unique culture of harmony and group consensus? Ghosn didn't waste time trying to fit in. Instead, he studied. He spent 100 days touring Nissan's operations, talking to thousands of employees, visiting dozens of facilities, and building his own diagnosis. And then, he spoke. In a bold press conference, Carlos Ghosn made an unthinkable vow for a Japanese executive. If Nissan is not profitable within 3 years, I will resign. That single sentence sent shockwaves through corporate Japan. It wasn't just confidence, it was accountability, something foreign to the status quo. And he backed it up with action. Ghosn announced the Nissan Revival Plan, targeting 5 core areas: reducing purchasing costs by 20%, cutting 21,000 jobs, shutting 5 factories, reducing the supplier base by half, and eliminating unprofitable models. But he also made clear, this wasn't just about cuts, it was about focus. Nissan would build cars people wanted. It would reward talent, not tenure. And it would move fast, or it wouldn't survive. Within Nissan, the backlash was immediate. Cutting jobs in Japan wasn't just a business decision, it was a cultural wound. Employees protested. Traditionalists bristled at the dismantling of keiretsu, long-standing supplier relationships. Union leaders called Ghosn a destroyer of harmony. But on the balance sheets, Ghosn's medicine was working. Just 1 year later, Nissan posted a profit of $2.7 billion, an astonishing turnaround. The man once derided as a foreign invader was now being hailed as a hero. In Japanese newspapers, they began to call him 7 to 11 jobs, 11 achievements. In manga comic books, he was drawn as a corporate superhero. Carlos Ghosn's arrival didn't just save Nissan, it sent a jolt through the heart of Japanese industry. Here was a man who didn't respect tradition for tradition's sake. He believed in performance, in speed, and in transparency. And he delivered. But even as Nissan rose, so too did quiet resistance. Deep inside the company and within Japan's corridors of power, resentment was brewing. Ghosn had shaken up a system. And systems, by their nature, fight back. His triumph was real, but temporary. Because what Ghosn didn't know, was that the same people cheering his success would one day engineer his downfall. In the next episode of Dealmaker Diaries, we explore the years that followed, how Ghosn built an empire, conquered global markets, and changed the future of the auto industry, all while unknowingly sowing the seeds of his own undoing. This was just the beginning.